Hello, everybody. My name is Leon.
And I'm Nathan.
This is our project, SeaWolf, an intelligent, multi-purpose, self-operating ROV powered by AI. Now, I really want to quickly note, as of recording this, our project isn't yet complete. However, it is complete in software and electronically. Now, let's really quickly talk about the key points of this project, mainly being that it can operate itself by the AM model known as YOLO, specifically the YOLO V5 small and nano versions, operating on the Raspberry Pi 5, 2 GB right there, and Raspberry Pi 5 OS installed on a 64 GB micro SD card, which is also going to be right there.
For hardware, we used an 11.1 volt lithium ion battery with a 2200 milliamp hour operational time. This was followed by a Y split in the wires to direct the power through two separate buck converters. A Y split is a split in the wires that's shaped like a Y. Pretty self-explanatory. There are two buck converters, the LM2596, which is pictured there, and the XL4015, which is pictured there. And then there is the LM converter that supplies power to the 9-volt rail, which ultimately supplies power to the front-facing LEDs and the drive motors. The XL converter supplies all the Raspberry Pi power at 5 amps, 5 volts. The other motors are drawing power directly from the battery at the full voltage. We used L29810 dual motor drivers to control all the motors, and those are pictured there. And then we used the GY521 gyro, which is pictured there. That is used to stabilize and orient the ROV.
Let's talk about the software I used. I used YOLO V5, which is an open source image recognition model, owned and developed, trained by Ultralytics. The YOLO V4 and up are owned by Ultralytics. We use this to control our 5 drive, control, and aux motors. In order to adapt the model to control it, I first defined the center box that it steps at the center.
When do we get to talk about hardware again?
Okay, we're done with that, okay? We're done. Okay. And then by checking which quadrant it's in, it chooses which motor to turn in and which direction to go.
Yay! Motors, hardware.
And then, through the use of Python HTTP servers, I was able to connect my computer to the ROV and control it with a Logitech Bubble Pack controller.
Some challenges we faced during our project were time management issues, issues with code, and battery voltage.
I died. The 3B died. It died. Oh my god.
Okay, like I was saying, we had many challenges. Yes, that was one of them. So we bought a better Raspberry Pi right after. So problem solved right. It's better than it was. No, wrong. Our problem was far from solved. The program ran way too slow on the new Raspberry Pi. So
I just want to take a bit of credit.
okay, I am sorry about that. He took advantage of the quad-core CPU and implemented multi-threading. The multi-threading increased the frame rate from 2 frames a minute to about 1 frame a second, which is still a little, but way better.
Well, what about the last issue? We got one further in. What was it?
But yeah, sorry about that. Waterproofing. It was our biggest issue. When we couldn't figure out how the seal would work, we ultimately first decided on an acrylic tube. We couldn't find a seal or an end cap for that, so we pivoted our design to a Dollarama food container. So, after that pivot, We found out upon testing that the food container from Dollarama had a pretty bad seal. So we replaced the one that it came with a homemade silicone seal. We would like to acknowledge all the people that have helped out and contributed to our project by donating bottles to us for our bottle drives.
Thank you. We would also like to thank Charlie Olson, K Rover Project, and Miss Walter for helping us 3D print the components for our project. The help was greatly appreciated.
Furthermore, I would like to thank my mom and both our dads for letting us borrow tools and buying stuff on loan.
And finally, we would like to thank everyone that supported us in some way. Well, and you have AI summary with cool. You can check it out. Thanks for listening. The project was hard and took blood, sweat, and tears, quite literally. Hopefully, we get to nationals. SeaWolf!
SeaWolf!